I'm going to have a go at riding one of the lightest bikes in the world. Which is actually pretty scary, because not only does this bike handle like no other bike I've ever ridden, it also has these crazy tyres, which are glued on to the wheels and have no puncture protection, because they're actually designed for indoor velodromes, which means that if I get a puncture, I'm walking home. Which isn't great, because look at these pedals and cleats. These things are nuts. However, this thing is absolutely incredible. It is so light, and it's been custom built for Andrew Feather so that it can hopefully take the most prestigious KOM in all of cycling in the world. The attention to detail on it is mind-blowing. It's incredible. But I'm going to go through all the details on it and tell you just how they've made it so light. Previously on GCN, you may recall us featuring this bike. It was a crazy 3.6 kilogram creation from Fairwheel Bikes, an absolutely mega bike shop in Tucson, Arizona, which sells lots of amazing bikes and crazy light custom builds. It is a truly amazing shop. Anyhow, that video was super popular. It's got over 1 million views. And so Jason Wozniak from Fairwheel Bikes reached out to us with a cunning plan. His idea was to build Andrew Feather, our test rider, multiple hill climb champion, and a guy with more KOMs than anyone else in the world, a custom lightweight bike so that he could, well, try and take the most prestigious KOM of them all, Alpe d'Huez. So how much does it weigh? Well, our scales are saying 3.6 kilograms. Jason's probably more accurate scales say 3.7, so we'll go with that. The crazy thing is he reckons he could have made it even lighter than this, but has deliberately chosen not to, so that we can have a few components that will help Feather and his massive power output in his challenge. I'm going to go through all of the details on the bike and all of the components in it, because the attention to detail is absolutely mind-blowing. For example, take a look at the bottom bracket bearings. And these things are incredible. These are ceramic bearings. That's something people will be familiar with. But the race is also ceramic, and the cartridge that goes in. This is completely, totally ceramic, and they're amazing. Now, they have to be specially bonded in to the frame, I'm guessing so that you don't break them. And, well, they only save around 3 or 4 grams over a conventional steel bearing such as this. But when you're trying to make a bike as light as possible, details matter, and they are just super, super cool. I mean, watch this when I spin it in my finger. That is amazing. Super smooth as well. I'm going to go through all the other amazing details on the bike in due course, but first I'm going to take it for a spin, because I want to see what it's actually like to ride this mental, crazy light bike, which is going to require me to change my cleats from these, well, standard Shimano ones to these things. Which isn't great, because, I mean, look at these cleats and pedals. These things are mental. I can't actually even clip in with these pedals. I might have to swap my cleats back. Yeah, that's not happening. I'm gonna have to make it a bit heavier. Right, we're just coming up round a steep bit of road here, and oh my goodness, like, this feels absolutely fantastic as soon as the road goes uphill. It's, yeah, just riding a crazy light bike, it's it just feels easier. It's fantastic. Oh. I feel like I'm going fast for a change. There's some people up here. I'm going to overtake them. Let's drop a couple of gears, let's go. Because you can do on a bike like this. Feels like I'm cheating. Another one, another one. Someone else. First impressions, I feel really nervous, not least because this bike costs an absolute fortune, but also because the handling is just totally different to anything I've ever ridden. It has a sort of nervousness to it. It just feels very light and twitchy, and it feels like it could get blown away in a strong gust. It just doesn't feel planted in the same way that a sort of conventional normal bike does, and I think that is just because it's so light. I think this is something that you'd probably get used to if you rode it lots or were used to riding super light bikes. But for me, typically riding bikes around 7 kilos, jumping on to something that's, well, you know, almost half that, it feels crazy. It's totally alien. I think Feather's going to have to get used to it. So the Crazy Light pedals are made by Aerolite, and they're just 63 grams, but I just felt too nervous to use them on account of the fact I was struggling to clip in and clip out.
I suspect with more practice and more time tweaking the cleat setup, you could use them just fine. I was just a bit incompetent.
So I've swapped for my Shimano ones, which are more than double the weight. The frame has been custom made for Andrew Feather in Italy by Extra Light, and it weighs just 580 grams. For context, most bike frames weigh over a kilo. So just completely nuts. But I have been told that I can just about fit on it and, well, go for a quick test ride, because I really wanted to know what it felt like to ride something like this, because the lightest bike I've ever ridden before was about 5 and a bit kilos. This is another level. I'm also nervous about the tyres, as I mentioned, because these things are glued on. That glue, incidentally, weighs 20 grams. They're Vittoria Pistas, which are a track tyre designed for racing in the Olympics on the indoor velodrome. And so they have no puncture protection at all, but that makes them very light. For a one-off hill climb effort, I think you can get away with it. But yeah, I'm very nervous about getting a puncture because, as I mentioned, if I do, I'm walking home. They're also incredibly narrow, just 23 millimeters, because that too helps save weight. And the reason why we've got tubulars on here is because tubular tyres that you glue onto the rim are still the lightest sort of wheel and tyre combination you can have. Now, the other thing that's making me a little bit nervous, and is also, and this is a legitimate excuse why I'm riding a bit slowly, is because the brakes are not filling me with the most confidence in this urban environment I'm riding in. I mean, I'm used to disc brakes at the moment, and I haven't ridden rim brakes for a few years, but with these cork pads in the brakes, yeah, they don't have the best stopping power. I'm not looking forward to riding down the hill back home. I'm going to take it very carefully indeed. I mean, they do stop you. They're just not... I'm going to be diplomatic. They're not the best. This is quite steep down here. Pulling the brakes quite hard. Oh, God. Bloody hell. I am a little... Oh, God. I'm not... Descending on this is not... I don't feel very confident. Oh, God. It's just... The handling. It's just so light. Even the steering response when you... The steering is just... It's just less effort to steer. It's weird. You have to kind of experience a crazy lightweight bike like this, I think, to understand what I'm saying. I think based on first impressions, I'd struggle on this bike if I was doing a full epic ride Gran Fondo. But for a one-off hill climb effort, it's blooming amazing. But I think that's enough yakking for now. I'm going to find a nice park so I can tell you all the other amazing mods and ways in which this bike is so light. I told you about the frame, but I didn't mention the fork. So that's part of the frame set, also from Extra Light, just 290 grams. And everything here is carbon fibre. Of course it is. We've got a nice Fairwheel Bikes logo on the down tube there, which probably adds a little bit of weight. I should have accounted for that. And of course, this frame is rim brake, because if you're trying to make a super light build, then rim brake still reigns supreme. Speaking of which, the calipers we've got on here are from AX Lightness, and they are just objects of engineering beauty. Full carbon fibre, incredibly light. They've got these cork pads with THM holders or shoes installed on there, and the hardware in them is just full titanium. Now, basically, as a rule of thumb, as I go through this bike, if I don't say something's titanium, just assume that it is, because all the hardware has been swapped out to just save little grams here and there. Now, these calipers, they from memory weigh about 130 grams, so incredibly, incredibly light, but they're also pretty expensive. You're talking about $1,200. So the wheels, these are also from Extra Light, and they're called Cyber Climbs. Tubulars, as we've mentioned, carbon spokes. The hubs are Extra Light and have Enduro ceramic bearings, naturally. Let's see what the free hub sounds like. They only weigh 690 grams a pair. Anyway, free hub sound check. Because when you spin them up, they're just so light. Like, it's just, there's no weight at all. It's just crazy because the wheels are so light, there's just no inertia in the wheel. Normally, a wheel on ceramic bearings will spin so much longer because there's more energy stored in the wheel. It's like a flywheel effect, but because this is so light, it just doesn't. It's crazy. Onto the Groupset, and you're going to absolutely love this. So it is based on SRAM Red 22 mechanical. So they're 11-speed Groupset from, well over 10 years ago. It's still the lightest Groupset that they've ever made. It's been used here in a one-by setup, which it wasn't technically designed for, but a lot of people use it for that, especially in hill climb builds. So we've only got shifting on the right-hand side here. The left-hand shifter has been gutted, so you can save a load of weight. So the way you shift gears on this, because some people will be young enough, and I'm jealous of those people, not to know how it works, but you just do one click in, and that shifts down, and then you do 2 clicks in, and that shifts up the cassette. So really cool. They used to call it double tap, but yeah, love it. And then that shifts the gears on the rear derailleur here, which has been also heavily modified. So Jason wanted to try and keep an OEM look to the brake levers at the front. However, he has modified the internals and has saved around 60 grams out of the shifters, which is pretty significant. The rear derailleur has had a lot of the bolts and hardware changed in it as well, to titanium, of course, to save weight, and different jockey wheels as well, which saves a little bit of weight here and there. Every little helps. The chain is from YBN, and that is titanium, of Of course it is. It's pretty cool. You can see it's got hollowed out plates, and the pins are completely hollow as well. So it's very light, about 200 grams. The cassette is from Recon, and that's just 160 grams, which makes it even lighter than the SRAM Red cassette that's 11-speed, which was famously very light. The saddle is rather insane, so that's an extra light as well. It's their Hyper, and it's just 46 grams. And it does look like some sort of medieval torture device. However, having just sat on it with padded shorts, it's not too bad. Although I wouldn't want to do a super long ride on it. And, well, it's not really a problem for Feather because he climbs almost exclusively out of the saddle, meaning we could probably just take it off and save more weight. The seat post is Schmolke, that's custom too, and it's just 75 grams. The handlebars are Schmolke 2 and very light, about 140 grams. They're a 40 centimetre bar, so if the UCI did have jurisdiction here, which they do not, they would be legal. Onto those, we've got this very light fabric bar tape. You see this on a lot of crazy light hill climb builds. This stuff is just 15 grams as it's wrapped here, but it's amazing. Bar tape adds a surprising amount of weight. So standard bar tape typically can add over 100 grams to your bike. It's nuts, especially if you use really thick padded stuff. The stem on here is extra light as well, but surprisingly, it's alloy. It's not carbon, but for good reason. It weighs just 87 grams. And then we've got this 3D printed and sort of carbon fibre fusion, crazy scaffold-like mount for the Wahoo on the front here, because he's going to need that for pacing himself. So that's going to add a little bit more weight on. Wahoo's about 120 grams if he uses the Bolt, which is the lightest one. Another amazing attention to detail that I can show you at the front, though, is these spacers for the headset. So these are 3D printed custom spacers that Jason's done. Super, super light. And all the headset and internals in here as well is from Extra Light and is, again, just crazy, crazy lightweight. Oh, I nearly forgot the bar end plugs. They're carbon fibre as well. Just 5 grams for those, and they look amazing. So the chain rings, these are pretty important. So these are Fibre Light. The one that's on there is just 30 grams, super light, but it's a narrow wide chain ring, so you can run it one by. And Jason reckons that there are actually lighter ones than this, but he's chosen this one because he says it's a stiffer one, and he actually tests for stiffness of various different components in the bike shop. It's one of the cool things they do, and that'll hopefully help Feather and be better for him. It's actually connected onto the chain set with THM titanium bolts. Of course it is. The cables are also pretty special. You can't see them because they're hidden behind this really cool segmented alligator housing, which is also very, very light, pretty much the lightest stuff you can get for cable housing. But the cables, I've got one here, they're titanium and they're from KCNC. Again, most cables are stainless steel that you'd use in bikes, so pretty exotic, but it saves a few grams. So when I said there were some compromises made and they could have made this bike even lighter, I wasn't lying. And probably the biggest example is the chain set. Now this is a THM clavicular chain set, which is kind of like the Rolls-Royce of lightweight chain sets, just beautiful German carbon fibre. Now this weighs normally 293 grams, give or take, which is incredibly light. But this one's a bit heavier than that, and that is because it's actually got a power meter built into it, which is incredible. I didn't even know that they did this, but that is something that we felt was absolutely necessary so that Feather can pace his effort with a power meter and see his power output. Also on the Wahoo that we're going to put on the out front mount here, not just for pacing, but also for you guys, because we want to know the power that he does up Alpe d'Huez. I think it'll be amazing to see someone as strong as him. Another compromise is the skewers. So these are extra light. They're just 28 grams, but they have levers on them so you can quick release them. You can get lighter sort of skewers that don't have a quick release that you bolt in, but we kind of figured that the practicality and ease of use of a quick release skewer outweighs the sort of bolt-on ones. So for ease of use, we've gone for that. Another thing though is you may notice there's no bottle cages on this bike, and that's because Andrew Feather can drink before and he can drink after he's ridden Alpe d'Huez, but not during. So there you have it. Do you think that Andrew Feather can get the Alpe d'Huez KOM on this bike? Let us know in the comments, and also make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss his attempt. It's coming very soon. Massive thanks to Jason and all the guys over at Fair Wheel Bikes in Tucson, Arizona. This thing is absolutely amazing. You guys are amazing. And if you're wanting a lightweight build or some advice on how to do a lightweight build, contact those guys, because they're the masters of this stuff. I'm going to go now. I think I'm going to take this for one quick last spin before I give it to Andrew Feather, because it feels amazing when I ride uphill, and I might even get close to one of his KOMs. A boy can dream. Right. Love you. Bye.